Hey, good afternoon, everybody, or early evening. How are you? This is Freddie Ewan, two-time GM of the Year, Pantheon Cup champion, host of That Fantasy Football Show with Freddie Ewan, Dr. Fantasy, the fantasy football god, whatever you want to call me. And hey, it's Thursday already. We have football again tonight. The Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are kicking off. This should be a nice game to watch tonight, especially from a fantasy point of view. I think last week was the was it I forget, was it the Jets and New England, or it was a bad Thursday night game? But this is gonna be a good game. We got a lot of fantasy players going tonight. Bajana is gonna be out there. Baker Mayfield, who we're gonna talk about in a little bit. We're gonna get to see what the Buccaneers running backs do. That's gonna be really interesting from a running back standpoint if you own any one of those two guys. Of course, the Buccaneers wide receivers are going to be interesting to watch as well. Falcons too, Drake London, see what Kyle Pitts can do. It's going to be a good night for fantasy football from a fantasy football point of view. We're going to get right to it. There's a couple things that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to save it probably for a little bit at the end of the show. We're going to make this show really quick. I want to talk about a trade that happened in my league that just completely freaking, I think, baffled me and everybody else in the league. That I'm going to, give you a little tip on how to win your fantasy football season again. So I hope you do watch this show because I am helping you guys, trust me. So this is one of my favorite sites. This is Fantasy Guides. It costs $10 a month. The guy gives you all kinds of great information. If you're really serious about playing fantasy football, if you want to win, there are a couple of paid apps which are really good to do. Spend the 10 or $15 a month to get one of these paid things where you can get this inside information. It is helpful. You will improve your fantasy scores, trust me. CMC, San Francisco is not mentioning CMC much. Jordan Mason is the #1 running back ranked this week. Derrick Henry, who had 199 yards rushing right behind him. Kyron Williams, #3. Kenneth Walker had a really big game. He is #4. Kamara is #5. This line right here, too, this shows all the implied points. What Vegas has that team scoring. So a guy like Kamara, his team only has an 18.5 point score. Looking up at San Fran, they think they're going to score 28.5 points. You click this button down. This gives all the stats on them. Hard schedule for running backs for Mason. As you can see, they are playing in week 5. The Arizona Cardinals, they have an easy schedule against the Cardinals tonight. Quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson is #1, Josh Allen #2. How about this guy, Jaden Daniels, #3? If you own Jaden Daniels in any league, you are very happy right now. Only a 23.5 point for the Washington Commanders, but the Commanders Kingsbury's got that offense going like you wouldn't believe. I made a trade in one of my leagues and got Scary McTerry. I traded Calvin Ridley for him. Ridley was hot a couple games, so it's nice to have Scary McTerry on my team now. I think he's going to do a lot of good things. Brock Purdy is finally making some fantasy awareness. Once again, San Fran is a good team to have right now with their players. Jordan Love is back. He, threw a bunch of touchdowns last week. He also threw a lot of interceptions. I think he is going to be back and be just fine. Justin Fields is still on the waiver wire in a lot of places. This is a quarterback that you want to grab. If you are into quarterbacks, this is a quarterback that you want to grab. Justin Fields is still available in a lot of leagues right now. Stroud, they got Richardson ranked a little high. I have Richardson on the bench right now. I benched him last week, which was obviously a good idea because Flacco came in and kicked ass like Flacco does. I am not dropping Anthony Richardson, but he is remaining on my bench for the time being. Burrow's up there, Murray, and my man Baker Mayfield playing tonight. Another guy who's still in a lot of waiver wires is Geno Smith. Geno Smith, got me enough points to win one of my fantasy games last week. Seattle's got a good offense. They got good receivers. They got a good running back. Seattle's playing really good. Geno's playing like he was a couple years ago. Really impressive. Patrick Mahomes, this is the funny thing about fantasy football, is Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl the last 2 years. He is hands down the most popular football player in the NFL. There are a lot of people that think since they have Patrick Mahomes, they're going to do so great in fantasy. Patrick Mahomes has never been a really, really great fantasy football player. Maybe the first year, starting when he threw those 50 touchdown passes. But, the last couple of years, Patrick Mahomes has not been a good fantasy football player. Taking him, I traded for him at the end last year, and he was one of the guys that kind of cost me my league trading for him, thinking he was going to do all that, and he didn't end up doing that. If I could trade that back, I wish I would have. But Mahomes, if you could trade Mahomes right now, and there's a lot of these quarterback happy people that we're going to talk about shortly. If you could trade Mahomes right now, try to get rid of him, because it's like there are so many. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. If I was drafting a team tomorrow on on the NFL, I would take Patrick Mahomes first, and I think everyone else in the world would too. In fantasy football, that's not the case though. So if you can find someone who thinks Patrick Mahomes is the god of fantasy football, trade the guy. You'll get a lot for him, as I'm going to show you in just a little bit. Really quickly, let's go over to wide receivers. Jamar Chase is back. Big game last week. CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's been there. He's been there. He's going to get going. Dallas has not had that great of an offense. Their defense is pretty banged up right now, but CeeDee Lamb is going to be back. He's going to get you the points. He's going to be very consistent. Nico Collins, man. I got to give it to my man Neil for keeping and picking Nico Collins. Nico Collins is something else. I stayed away from all these Texans receivers because I thought it was going to be all mixed up, but Nico has been hot. Jefferson has been like, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Jefferson's going to get his points. Harrison Jr., of course, playing really good. Playing really good. I think Neighbors, I would rather have Neighbors than Harrison right now, regardless, but playing really good. This guy, I love. I got him on one of my fantasy teams matched up with Love. Jaden Reed has been awesome, especially when Jordan Love is there. Jaden Reed is becoming a #1 receiver very quickly. DK Metcalf is another guy who's been just playing off the hook. And Godwin's been, phenomenal coming out of the slot. I think he's the number seven run wide receiver. Not a lot of people saw that coming. Debo should be back. We'll see what he does. Amari Cooper is going to have a big week this week. Garrett Wilson owners are a little down on him. You got to start the guy. I think that Wilson is going to pick it up and get it together a little bit. We'll see. I'm still hopeful for Garrett Wilson owners. He had a tough matchup last week. It was expected that he was not going to play a good game. I hope you did not play Garrett Wilson. But if you did, you obviously should play him this week. Mike Evans, good matchup. Drake London, we're going to see what London does tonight. Deontay Johnson is another great guy to have. The Carolina Panthers with the Red Rocket have completely turned it around. Let's go to tight ends really quickly and see what's going on. Travis Kelce is the #1 tight end this week. And, I had some guy 2 weeks ago in one league send me a trade for Rashid. I have Rashid Rice, and he sent me Travis Kelce. And I thought, what are you, nuts? And, now Rice is on the injured reserve. And I'd be dying to take that trade back, obviously. But at the time, it was just stupid to take. But I think that, now that Rashid Rice was coming out, and Rice was really becoming the Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs from 4 or 5 years ago very quickly this year. And now that he's down, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be okay. They've won 2 Super Bowls without a #1 wideout or a #2 wideout for that matter. Travis is going to get a lot of opportunities now. If you are a Travis Kelce owner and you did not trade him and had been waiting patiently, I think the time is now. I think you're really going to see Travis really take off now. Probably to #1 tight end standpoint, I think. George Kittle's been playing great, has a great year. Trey McBride was banged up last week. He's going to be back on the field this week. San Fran, high scoring game, so he's a go. Even Ingram has been banged up. We are still not sure if he's going to play or not. I've been trying to trade for Ingram in a couple places, but then I'm thinking maybe it's not such a good idea. I'd rather monitor that situation for a couple more weeks because the Jaguars have just been pathetic lately. Brock Bowers, they only have 17.5 points. They got a horrible offense. Gardner is not doing much, but, Devontae Adams wants to be traded. And Bowers is a rookie, young guy. They want to get Bowers more involved in that offense, and I think they will do that. Let's go to this really quickly. There was a trade in my fantasy football league yesterday. And you are looking at it, Baker Mayfield and Josh Downs for Chris Godwin and Gabe Davis. I think we have a big chat group with these guys, and I think almost the entire chat group was kind of like silent today. Like, what the fuck was that? And my boy here, Wap, this is who I play this week, and I love this guy. I love this guy. He's a buddy of mine. He's a great dude. He's a great dude. I love him to death. I like to pick on him a lot, but he picks on me too. So it's we just kind of have a mutual, rivalry. We pick on him. But so this dude's got this team on the right. He's got Baker Mayfield, who he just traded Chris Godwin for. So trading Godwin, you're not hooking him up with Mayfield, where almost every team right now has a quarterback wide receiver stack. He got rid of his wide receiver for the quarterback, which makes no sense. First of all, that's the first thing that doesn't make sense, but you can get behind that. But the other thing is, if you show his bench players, this dude's got 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks on his bench. He's got 3 total running backs. He's got Aaron Jones, Jones's handcuff Chandler, and then Saquon Barkley. He scored a lot of points. He's been unlucky, but this is a 1 quarterback league. Now, points are important in this league when it comes to quarterback. Quarterbacks get 6 points for passing touchdowns, so it is important to have a good quarterback in this league. But trading Chris Godwin for Baker Mayfield makes no sense whatsoever. Godwin is the number 7 wide receiver at this point. It is so hard to find a good, consistent wide receiver in fantasy football. And when you get one of them, you got to hang on to them. They're as hard as running backs. I mean, how many top 10 wide receivers do you have on your team right now? If you have 1, you're happy. If you have 2, you're doing freaking fantastic. So the other thing is, and this is what I don't understand, this dude's got, 4 quarterbacks. Grant you, Baker Mayfield is probably the best one to start out of these 3 guys, Rodgers, Lawrence, Richardson, but I don't even know why you're holding on to Lawrence and Rodgers and you have 3 running backs. And one of them is your handcuff. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. If one of these guys gets injured, forget it. Now, he also picked up a wide receiver, Josh Downs, who I like, who I think is going to play well. I think Downs had a pretty good game last week. I think Downs is going to do just fine. He's no Chris Godwin. He's not going to be a top 10 wide receiver. So makes 0 sense to me. This other dude, and these guys are both brand new to the league. This other dude who traded for him, 2 big injuries, CMC and Puka, and this dude is a fighter. If I was going to vote for GM of the year, it'd be this guy right now. This guy, I haven't even met the dude, but Teji. This dude is a fighter, and man, I mean, he just made the trade of the century, I think. So this dude now has, he's fighting. This dude is fighting and on fire, and how he pulled that trade off. So another dude in this league also has 2 quarterbacks. He's got Jalen Hurts and Jayden Daniels, and he's put Daniels on the market. He said, hey, I'm trading Daniels. So if this dude came here with Chris Godwin and said, hey, I'll trade you Chris Godwin for Jayden Daniels in a heartbeat, they would do that. And who are you going to take, Jayden Daniels or Baker Mayfield? That's obvious. I mean, even where 6 points you get for passing touchdown, that's obvious. Quarterbacks are not that big of a deal in certain leagues. They're a little bit of a bigger deal in this league, but I want to show you something. When you go over to players, this is the big thing that people just seem to forget. When you go over to players, let's look at quarterbacks, okay? Let's look at the available quarterbacks. Geno Smith, Justin Fields, 2 top 10 quarterbacks are available right here. You can pick them up right now. Can't pick them up? Kirk Cousins you can pick up. He's going to give you some points. Danny Dimes might not. Deshaun Watson might not. Stafford, He might give you some points on some days. Derek Carr had a great first 2 games. Derek Carr is the #1 quarterback in 2 games. You can pick him up on the waiver wire. So why are you trading a wide receiver for another quarterback when you already have 3 of them and can pick them up on the waiver wire? It makes no sense. It just makes no sense. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Enjoy the game tonight.
Absolutely ate their ass like a goddamn cheesesteak. Baker Mayfield went for 350 yards in the air. I threw 2 touchdowns and ran for another one. And I sent those Philly shitbirds packing. Tampa Bay Bucks are at the top of the NFC South, and Baker Mayfield is having another Pro Bowl season. But what makes this all so much sweeter is that nobody believed in me. Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns let me go. They betrayed me, stabbed me in the back. They replaced me with that touchy-feely P. Diddy fuckface Deshaun Watson. Well, look at me now. Baker Mayfield took the Bucks further than the Browns went in the playoffs last year. We're 3-1 and they're 1-3. We're headed to the playoffs while they're headed down the toilet like a turd. It makes sense they're called the Browns because their franchise is a massive pile of excrement.
Baker Mayfield, baby. Good luck tonight, guys.